Guys have requested this. I told you that I was going to do it. Consider it a 4th of July special. This is what we're doing. We've got a practice test here. These are Master Electrician test flashcards. It is for the 2014, but not much changes throughout the code cycles. We're going to be looking in our 2023 code book here, and I'm just going to show you how to go about navigating the NEC, so at least you know where to look. And there's going to be some keywords here that's going to give us clues on where to find the answers in this book. We're not going to give you the actual answers. Of course, we don't know all the questions to the test, but I got total recall, so I do actually remember most of the questions. But we're going to be going off of this. So we're just going to jump right into it. In general, service drop conductors have a vertical clearance of at least blank above the roof surface of a building having no overhang. So right there, the keyword service drop conductors. We already kind of know where this is going to be. Like I said before, my book is like falling apart, and it's a 23. I go in this thing so much. But if I was to make a guess, we would want to probably look at, at the beginning of this book in the 200s, where it talks about, it's going to talk about services, because it's a service drop, which should be 230, would be services. But if we didn't know that it was in 230, how would we find it? So in the back of this book, which is actually really helpful, they've got an index here. And we can look for these keywords: service drop conductors. You're not going to find, vertical clearance. You're not going to find any measurements or anything back here. You might find roof, but hey, what's up, MB Forward? Your best bet is to look at service, because the service is going to be the point before the overcurrent protection. It's the service to your building, and then a feeder is going to be something that's going to feed a panel after the overcurrent protection, typically. So we're going to be looking at service drop, but we're going to go to the index here, and we're going to be looking for S in service. It's faster when I don't look through the phone. There's SE, so we need SER. There's separate. Service drop. Look at there. 230.54. Looks pretty promising. Says there connections, service head, service drops. We got service drop. So what did it say? 230.54. Let's try that. Let's try 230.54. Now, I already know what the answer is. But I'm more interested in showing you guys how to find it yourself. So it should be 3 feet, I believe. But if we look 230.54, 43, 46. You're going to see the service entrance cable there. I'm looking for service drop. So they said 54. There's 50. 54 overhead services. Now we got service head, goosenecks, drip loops. So what does the question say? A vertical clearance above the what? The roof. So we're looking for above the roof. That would be your key word there. There's 54 service head. And we're looking for clearances, right? So we're going to keep going until we find, we've got barriers, drip loops, so let's see here. There's supports there. I see 3 feet. So service entrance cables, open conductors of cables other than service shall be installed 10 feet above grade. Nope, that's the 3 meters. Sometimes it's harder when you know the answer, and then you're kind of just looking all around for the answer. There's barriers, there's guarded, enclosed. There's location. Let's go back 1 here. Because that index is just going to get us close. We're looking for the clearances. So there's service entrance conductors. We're looking for service drop conductors. So there's service entrance again, service. We're looking for the word service drop. The index setup is going to be 54. That's overhead services. Shall be listed. And if that's not enough proof that this isn't staged, there you go. Let's go over here to the next page and see if we can find it here. Connection to the terminals. That's your disconnects. It's the freaking code book. Yeah. It is the code book. We're looking for clearances. We're looking for the word clearance. Let's see if we can find it here. I see over roof, over buildings, roof. So all these words, here's the mass, here's the supports, here's the attachment, here's the clearance, more clearance stuff above roofs. And then we've got the answer here, above roofs. So we're looking for above roof surfaces. Go here, above roofs, conductor shall have a vertical clearance of not less than 8 foot 6 inches above the roof surface. The vertical clearance above the roof level shall be maintained for a distance not less than 3 feet in all directions. So it's a vertical clearance. Vertical clearance of not less than 8 foot 6 inches. I actually would have got that one wrong, man. I would have jumped to 3 feet. Because that's typically what you see. So they want a vertical clearance of not less than 8 foot 6 inches above the roof surface. So there you go. If we click here, it's probably going to be 8 foot 6. How do I get the answer? It says 8 feet. They might have changed it, but this is going to be where you get the answer. Is it A? It might tell us, yeah, 230.24a. 230.24a. Interesting. You can see where it's highlighted right there. That means that it is a change. So in the 2023, you can see where the highlights are typically new information, I believe, and they italicized that. I'd have to look at that for sure, but with the highlighted stuff, it's usually a change. So we found the answer there. And 8 foot 6 is the answer. Let's go to the next one. Maximum height above the floor or working platform to the center of the operating handle. Buddy called me about this question the other day, and I know exactly where to look. Not because I looked it up. We talked about it. I couldn't remember if it was to the center of the handle or to the top of the handle. But the argument with his buddy, he said, I need you to squash this. The argument was, is it the breakers in the panel and the switches, or is it just the panel? So it should be 6 foot 7. Anyone who's tipsy right now, maybe watching regretting drinking so much, should be 6 foot 7. We're going to see here, we're going to say switches, right? So this one's kind of tricky. You might want to go into 240 for overcurrent protection because it's talking about a service. You might want to go to 230 because it's talking about a service. You might want to go to 240 because it's talking about panel boards. or we can go to 406, which would be switches. So in general, you want to go to the most basic one first and then kind of work your way backwards, because I know 230 doesn't really have us a certain height for the services. 240 would be like where you might look, or 408 could be panel boards. I think it's 408. 408, yeah, 408 is switchboards and panel boards. And you might be able to find it here. But if we go to 406, sorry, 404 is switches, my bad. If we go to 404, 406 is receptacles, 404 switches, we're going to be looking for something that has to do with the height. So we're looking for the keyword height. If we didn't know where to look, we could probably go into the index and we could look up the keyword switch. We could look up the keyword service, which would get us to 230. Let's try to look up handle and see what happens. That might help us out. Let's see if the word is handle. Probably not, but we can try it. A, B, C, D, E, F, H. Height. High. So we didn't find it in height. Let's see if we can find handle. That was in grounding anyway. I was way off. We might be able to look in switches and see height, but I would like to see if we can find the word handle. We did not find the word handle. Let's try the word switches and see if we can find height in here, because this index is actually a lifesaver when you're taking your test. Switches here, just like we said, 404 would be the switches. Devices, identification. We could maybe look at location. Maybe. Indicating. There's service there in 230 like we talked about. I'm just trying to see if this is viable. Here's enclosure installation. So if we go here to installation of switches, possibly. Let's try 404.3. Let's see what happens. Either way, you're going to find in the back of the index, in the back of the book, you're going to find where switches is in 404. Let's see what 3 says. Here's 404. There's the scope. We're looking for location. Here's enclosures there. That's where you're mounting the switches. That's actually pretty close. Switches and circuit breakers shall be of the external operated type mounted in an enclosure listed for the intended use. That's pretty close. But this is where it says switches and circuit breakers installed in accordance with. So we're getting pretty close to where to find them. So we're going to keep going. That's construction, grounding. Here's the location. There's the doors, the dimmers. And we might have to go back to find it, man. I thought it was in here. This is proving to be circuit breakers as switches. We might go to 240 with the overcurrent protection. Location, here it is here. All switches and circuit breakers used as switches shall be located so they are operated from the readily accessible place, the center of the grip of the operating handle, 6 foot 7 inches. Yo, what's up, Joshua? What's up, Apache helicopter? What's going on? So that's how you found that one. So we knew it was 6 foot 7, but you know, we're more interested in showing you guys how to find it. Next. Conductors supplying outlets for arc and xenon motion picture projectors for the professional type shall be a minimum size of blank. If I had to make a guess, it's probably going to be 10. But what really sticks out to me is motion picture projectors. So that should be in theatrical, something like that. We can look at projectors, surely, in the back of this book. No. Oh, also you'll notice that my book doesn't have any tabs, man. The tabs get in the way for me. I know pretty much where everything is. Tabs help a lot if you're new. Like tremendously. But they ended up just ripping my book. You can see where my book's already losing pages. They don't need any more help breaking. So we're looking for projectors. Let's see if we can find it. PRE, protection. PRO. Protective pole pumps. Okay, we did not find it in projection. Let's try another one. Maybe motion picture, but we already know it's going to be theatrical, but we're going to look for motion picture. We're going to play the game here just for a little bit. Let's look for motion picture. You never know. It could be here. HM. Multi-speed motion picture. Check that out. Theaters. So it says to go to theaters. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to theaters now. Where the hell am I going? T. Over here. Theaters. I was about to just turn to the page. Theaters. TH. Terminals. Theaters. Article 520. Right there. Go to 520. The biggest thing on your journeyman's test, guys, I'll give you the secret here in a second. It seems like we got about 60 of you in here right now. I'll tell you the biggest thing, what's going to be on your journeyman's test. Let me check this text message real quick. Okay. Once we get this question, I'll tell you what's the biggest thing on the journeyman's test, or really any test. But first, we're going to look this up. So, we're looking for xenon motion picture projectors. That's pretty specific, right? Arc projectors. This should be really easy to find. Where it is, I got no freaking clue. But see your pilot light, see here supply, everything just kind of sticks out at you. Let's go to the beginning of motion theaters right there. So we're going to be looking for some kind of projector, arc, or xenon. So hopefully we can find it here pretty quick. There's some lights there, but that's not what we're looking for. There's stage lighting back there. We're gonna skim through and see if I can find it real quick. Here's luminaire. Here's a stand lamp. Conductor sizing, right? Because it was asking about that. What's the outlets? And it's important to know what an outlet is, right? An outlet is not a receptacle. An outlet is a point where you get utilization equipment from. So you can have a lighting outlet, you can have a receptacle outlet, you can have a air conditioner outlet where you're going to mount the disconnect. Just because you see outlet does not mean receptacle. This is just a spot where the wire is that you're going to attach whatever you're going to try to power. So it helps to know the verbiage there. We might even be able to find it in outlets. But I have a feeling that we're going to find it here pretty soon. There's a special purpose cable. High temperature. So we know those lights are higher temperature than normal. Okay, so it's going to be in here somewhere. Conductor type. Pilot lights, there you go. There's neon. But that's not xenon. Brackets, strips, luminaire supply cords, open book tester, yeah. Stand lamps. Yeah, all your electrical tests are open book. You just got to know how to navigate it. Arc lamps, check it out. Found arc lamps. So it's a word there, arc. And we know that they are projectors, which has a light of some kind. Let's look at arc lamps. Here we go. Including enclosed arc lamps. Should be listed interconnecting cord. Extra hard usage type. Let's see if it has anything about the size. So all of this right here, this arc lamps, until we see something else that changes the topic, this is all about the arc lamps. I don't think it's in there though. But we are getting closer. Conductor sizing, it's probably going to be here. The power supply connectors for switchboards, sine wave dimmers, single conductors, number 6 here, grounded neutral cables, paralleled, neutral. I did not see it in there either. I don't see it in here. You can see where it's buried. This is actually a really good question. One that would take a lot of time. There's a pilot light there. They have apps too. Yeah, they have apps. They don't have apps when you're taking a test though. Cords, cables. There's conductor insulation, but they do have Apache helicopters. That's very true. Man, this is an awesome question. Damn. Let's see here. Solid state dimmers. We need to find projectors, and I'm not seeing projectors. So we can try. What's before this? Nope. We need to find projectors or something to find this. There's arc lamps here, man. Let's try this. Here's the bracket wiring. Portable strips. Bushings, festoons, special effects. There's conductors for portables. There's a luminaire supply cord. So the luminaire is a light. Let's try. Man, I remember something else about DC plug-in boxes and stuff, and I haven't seen it yet. Conductor supply outlets for arc and xenon motion. Picture projectors of the professional type shall be a minimum size of blank. So There's a breakout. Special purpose. Nope. Okay. I thought so, man. So there's theaters, motion picture, and television. Then it goes to control systems. And if we keep going, it's going to get back into motion picture. So we're going to try motion picture and television now. Motion picture. So this is where the DC plugin box is. I was wondering why that whole code didn't look familiar. I kind of wanted to scroll through this. See, there's the DC plugin boxes. Those are I remember, because this was my journeyman's test, was DC plugin boxes. So we're probably going to find it here. We just got to find it. But that's an example of how hard this test can be. So we're looking for outlets. We're looking for xenon arc luminaires here. Portable enclosed arc lamps and associated ballast heavy interconnecting cord sets. GCI, power supply, no. Not protection. There's some wiring there. Still not there. Motion picture. Motion picture projection room. Marking, listing. Receptacle, bonding, grounding. Power supply. Methods. What is this? Wiring methods is number 10. I think the answer is number 10. I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, so this is the question here. Conductors supplying outlets for arc and xenon motion picture projectors of the professional type shall be a minimum size. Motion picture projection room. Types. Switches. Conductor size. Here it is here. It's actually 8. Check it out. Conductors supplying outlets for arc and xenon projectors of the professional type shall not be less than number 8. There it is there. So once you see the header here of what it is, so this is the motion picture room required, and then it goes 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then B, and then C. All of this, as it notes this is part of this code. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All of this has to do with this. So it should be number 8. Let's see. Number 8 right there. There's 450.13. This is actually a really, really decent practice course. This is what I took for all of my testing. They give you the flashcards, they give you the test, they grade it. I think it's really important that they show you where to find it if you can't. That way you can get better at finding it yourself. What's the next one? In general, 4-inch wide underfloor raceway shall not have a covering of wood or concrete. In general, 4-inch wide underfloor raceways shall have a covering of wood or concrete of not less than blank above the raceway. I think this is going to be a trick question, okay? I'm going to show you why. But first, I'm going to tell you what I told you about the code book. Most of your test questions that you're going to get wrong, it's not the motion picture stuff, because in reality, if it takes you that long to find a question like it did me just now, you're better off skipping it and saving it to the end. The key to passing your journeyman's test is to get very familiar with Article 300. Article 300 has, I'm going to say like 40% of your test, because there's so many things in here where you might have 20, 30 questions just out of Article 300. You just don't even realize it. So if I was to go through, this is a question that asks you about the trade sizes. This would be a question in journeyman's. 27 metric for a 1-inch pipe. Under metal corrugated roof decking, 1.5 inches, right there. That is one of your questions. Notches in the wood should be 1.25 inches. And the plate needs to be 1/16 inch thick. Let me find the 1.25 inch. Bored holes. Hang on. 1.25 inches right there. Right? Tells you how thick the plate needs to be. Non-metallic. A lot of the code questions have to do with just Romex. I say Romex lightly. Oh, we're learning civil engineering. We're learning the National Electric Code. And we're taking practice tests. I'm going to show you why this is a trick question here in a second. I think it is anyway. Wet locations, right? This is a hot item on YouTube, right? The interior of the enclosure or raceway installed shall be considered a wet location. Insulated conductors and cables installed in these enclosures or raceways and underground installations shall comply. If you go to your raceways, it says this a lot. It says wherever you install the raceway, even if it's PVC, which would normally be dry, if you install PVC on a roof, the wire, the interior of the raceway, that's what it says there, interior of the enclosures or raceways are considered wherever they're installed. Emerging from grade should be 8 feet above the finished grade, and then 18 inches below. Everybody jacks this up, especially the railroad. Not taking any sides of the railroad. I inspect all your stuff, and it sucks. It's underground. It's that underground freaking, almost like a UF kind of SER cable that's orange, and your crap is barely 3 inches protected. But yeah, we won't get into it. I've been told to pass it anyway. Keep it moving. Keep it moving, Robert. This is where the question is. 300.5 is your burial depths. What we're going to see if we look through all of these notes, because these notes are very important. Very important. It tells you how to measure. So the cover shall be defined as the shortest distance measured between the point of the top of the conductor or cable or conduit to the finished grade. So if you got to get a burial depth of 6 inches, for example, and you dig your ditch only 6 inches deep, your raceway is going to be at least 1 inch tall. So you lose, technically. If you piss off the inspector. If you piss me off, I'm going to call that all day. So, if you want to cover up the ditch before I get to inspect it, and then I come back with my tape measure, and it's 17 inches to the top of the raceway instead of 18, you shouldn't have buried the conduit without the inspection. That's all I'm saying. My kids might be here. We'll find out here pretty soon. But back to this question. Hey, stop that. The rock, what we're looking for is where it talks about underneath the building. So under a building here, check this out. Under a building, there is no required burial depth. See, 0, 0, 0, 0. No required burial depth underneath a building at all. If you're under the floor and you got water concrete over it, you're probably going to be inside of a building here, because you wouldn't have an under the floor raceway if you're outside. I piss off inspectors is a good t-shirt. Hey Tess, about those 100 amp sub panels with 2 gauge aluminum. Yes sir, Shaka knows. Shaka knows. Let's talk about that real quick. If we go to 310 dot, where did they move it in my book? Yeah, here it is here. We look at number 2 aluminum here. We go to the 90 degree C column, as you should. You're going to see you're only good for 90 amps. So the problem with that, you can't go to the next standard size, because 240.6, if we look at 240.6 here, you're going to see 90 is a standard. So the rules for this say that you can go to the next standard size if you're in between one of these. So if we were 87 amps, we go to 90. If you were 95 amps, you go to 100. But if you're 90 amps and your wire's only good for 90 amps, you can't put on a 100 amp breaker. Absolutely true, Shaka. I didn't know you knew that, buddy. Okay, 300.5. Let's find out. Is this 0? I think it's 0. Let's find out. 3/4. Served my ass. Okay, hang on. Underfloor raceways. 4-inch wide raceways have a covering of water concrete not less than 3/4 above the raceway. That is a interesting take. So what we should have done, we should have went to underfloor raceways, which would be in the 350 somewhere. Cable trays, underground feeders, type P. There's the RMC there. We got liquid type, under non-metallic. We just got to find underground conduit. So we're looking for the type of material that they're installing. That was a good trick question, actually. Auxiliary gutters, busways. We're looking for underfloor raceways. Insulated pipe. There's metal floor raceways. Metal wireways. We might try this one or this one. What we might actually do, there's surface metal. Underfloor raceways, we found it. Okay, so the covering right there, I saw it. It says covering. I saw the word covering. This is where it's going to comply, A through D. So there's the answer right there, 3/4. That's it right there. 4 inches wide. And that's a key there too, 4 inches wide. I thought for sure that it was going to be a trick question of 300.5 being that you're underneath a building, so it's 0. But 39.15, yeah. Yeah, thank you, sir. This is 2014. But an excellent question. That's a very good question to find. So don't overthink it. I think I underthought it, and I thought for sure it was going to be 0. And chances are, on your test, one of the answers available probably would have been 0. You know, that's just how they do it. What's next? A 15-foot horizontal run of rigid metal conduit can be installed between enclosures located in a Class 2 Division 1 hazardous location. One of the enclosures is dust ignition proof, the other is not. The NEC requires a minimum number of blank ceiling fittings. So, I'm live. Okay, close on. You can go. but close the door. Yeah. So, Class 2 Division 1, we know it's going to be hazardous locations, which is typically Article 500. We could also look up the RMC, but a lot of times in your division of locations, RMC is a requirement. And since it's talking specifically about this here, this Class 2 Division 1, and it says dust proof and blah, 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 and ceiling fittings, good chance we're going to find it in the 500s. So Class 2 Division 1, this is a Class 1. Still in Class 1, still in Class 1. Class 2. Class 2 Division 2. Class 2 Division 1. I see the word RMC right there. We're looking for the word seal off now. Support in a manner to avoid tensile stress. I'm going to try and clean my camera, actually. Seems like it helped a little bit. We are looking for one enclosure is dust ignition proof, the other is not. The NEC requires a minimum of blank ceiling fittings. So the idea of ceiling fittings, if you know what they're for, it helps you understand what they're asking. Seal off fittings is almost like a T, if you think of it that way. It's not a T, but think of it like a T, where you've got one opening at the top, one opening at the bottom, and then you've got a spot where you can put a sealing material. Typically it's called Chico, and it hardens up like rock. You mix it up and you pour it into the conduit, and it seals off the vapors between the different classes of locations. So like your gas pump would have gas vapors, and you don't want those vapors going back to your panel where you could have a spark. So the seal off fittings, so it's probably going to ask us, we got to figure out how many fittings we need. And it's 15 feet away. It's horizontal run. I'm thinking 2, but we should be able to find it. If it wasn't horizontal, I think we would only need 1. That's my thought. I don't know. Let's find out. Corrugated metal sheath, fiber optic. So it's saying that it shall be sealed in accordance with 502.15. And this one here, corrugated metal sheath, we got to look for RMC here. So we're looking for how to seal it off. JW, keep your eyes out for flexible grinder kit at Depot, 175. Nice. Here we go. Here, this is Class 2 Division 1 with the gas paper tag continuous corrugated metal sheath. That's not RMC. So let's get back to RMC. Threaded metal conduit, or threaded IMC, including conduit systems with supplemental corrosion protection. Now we can see here that they're going to be sealed off in accordance with 502.15. So we can try this, but I would like to find something more definitive. Here's dust tight, flexible, boxes and fittings. Did it talk about boxes and fittings? It said that it had a enclosure that was dust proof and ignition proof. Here's sealing here. There's horizontal right there, being 10 foot long. So it says one of the following. If a raceway provides communication between the enclosure that's required to be dust ignition proof and one that's not, suitable means shall be provided to prevent the entrance of dust into the dust ignition proof enclosure through the raceway. One of them is required. We had a horizontal raceway not less than 10 feet long. So if it's 15 foot long, maybe we don't need anything. The Raceway prevents communication between conductors. Ceiling fitting shall be accessible. It's 15 feet. Maybe 15 feet is far enough for dust. I feel like it probably needs one. What do you guys think? One or none? It says here, a horizontal raceway not less than 10 feet. So we are more than 10 feet. We're 15 feet. Let's try to read it again. If a raceway provides communication between an enclosure that's required to be dustproof and one that is not, suitable means shall be protected enclosure through the raceway. One of the following. So just one of the following. So this is one of the following. Check it out. The raceway is not less than 10 feet. So you need one. Either you need a seal or you can go more than 10 feet. That's your answer. So I don't think you need a ceiling fitting. I'm going with you don't need a ceiling fitting because we went 14 feet, 15 feet. Let's see. None. We got it. None is required. Awesome. I'm actually enjoying this test, guys. I don't know about you. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the code, but this is actually pretty cool. Pretty cool little flashcards here. I'm actually pretty impressed with them. For the purpose of sizing branch circuits or fixed storage type water heaters with a capacity of 120 gallons or less, the water heater shall be considered. I don't even know where to start with that. So we can go to branch circuits. We can go to water heaters. That's where we can go. Branch circuits and water heaters. I'm going to go to appliances, which I think is right here in 420. And I'm going to look for the word water heater very quickly. And if I don't see water heater. It's got to be considered. Considered marking. That's a really weird way to stop a question. Storage type water heaters with a capacity of 120 gallons or less. The water heater shall be considered. Let me go back to water heaters. That's heating, water heater controls. That's the only part of water heaters that I have there. See if we can find another. There's heating equipment. There's heating cables, This is fixed space heating, so we're not going to find it here. We're probably going to go to branch circuits now, which is in 220. Here's household appliances with surface heating. Electric heating. Storage type, okay. For the purpose of sizing branch circuits for fixed storage type water heaters with a capacity of 120 gallons or less, the water heater shall be considered. Okay. Here's storage. The branch circuit overcurrent device for fixed storage type water heaters having a capacity of 120 gallons or less shall have the ampere rating not less than 125%. Shall be considered fixed storage type water heaters. Is the answer 120%? Shall be considered at 125%. I think that's the answer. At 125%. Oh, damn, they got me. Continuous load. So 125% continuous load. David Leroy, this is just simply tests.com. And we're looking at the Master Electrician flashcards. It is the 2014, but not much changes in the code. The amount of stuff that changes in the code, not going to matter that much. And to make it more difficult, we're looking at a 23 code book, not a 14. I think the 14 it's so simple, man. The 14 code book's a walk in the park compared to where they moved all my codes in the 23. So if we had have looked just a little bit longer, we could have seen the branch circuit rating there. And we would have seen that when you size at 125%, typically that means that it's going to be a continuous load. So if we went to 422.10, we would see here that we would have sized it as a continuous load. Yep. See here. 210.23. 210.23 is usually in the top right of this code book. It's going to say the word continuous load. But they probably moved my codes around in the 23 code book. Let's see if it's still in the top right. It's a whole different page. That's just how to size it. Okay. I don't think you're going to get a question like this on the test. It wouldn't leave you with... That's such a weird way to end a question. I'm thinking you probably wouldn't have a question that's left like this. You could probably contest that. The water heater shall be considered. I mean... I said at 125%, and they said that the answer was a continuous load. So 125 is a continuous load. I'm new here, and I am wondering, is this test to be an electrical inspector? No. The test to become an electrical inspector is a ICC, and I've got both of those too. I've got my residential and commercial ICCs, and I hold 3 different certifications for electrical inspector. This is for a master electrician just test. We're just doing it for fun. Electrical equipment such as switchboards, panel boards, industrial control panels, and motor control circuits located in commercial and industrial occupancies are required to be field marked to warn blank of potential electrical arc flash hazards. Immediately, another name for Taco Bell party pack, a continuous load. That's awesome. Thank you, Eric. We're going to go immediately to 408, which is panel boards. I wish I could keep my pages in this book, man. The books get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. They really do. Like the 3rd page I've had to tape in here. And they're like $100. 120. Where are we at? 408. We went too far. 404, 408 panel boards, switchboards, switchgear, and panel boards, switchboards, panel boards, and control panels. What's the question? Located in commercial additional occupancies, field marked to warn blank of potential arc flash hazards. Probably maintenance personnel would be my guess. But let's see what it says. We're looking for marking. It says marked. Field marked. So we're looking for those words to really jump out at us. Here's some marking here on identification. So let's go to the beginning of this, because this looks like the precursor to why you'd want to mark something and how you're going to mark something. So they're going to have this verbatim, and then they would be, in what situations do you need to mark it at? and how do you do it, right? So this looks like how they would start the beginning of the marking requirements. So let's see if we can find it here. We're going to look for marking. Bus arrangement. Bus arrangement. I'm going to kind of skim through here too, just to see if I can find it. Here's a directory, so this would be marked. Here's a clearance. I'm not seeing marking specifically yet. That's the grounding, location. Still don't see it here. Panel board marking. 408.4b, you think so? We'll go back and look at it. Here's industrial control panels. This said industrial occupancies too. Location, rating, phase arrangement, marking. Industrial control panel shall have permanent markings that are visualized in installation. Okay, let's look at 408.4. Let's look at that. 408.C. There it is there. Clearance. Eligible permit complies with all the following conditions. Source? No. Warns blank of potential electrical arc flash hazards. We should probably get a 14 code book. Might be a little bit easier because all this highlight has kind of changed. So this could be a completely different thing. I'm gonna say I think it's gonna say maintenance or qualified personnel or unqualified personnel. It's gonna be one of those. Let's try it. Let's see. Qualified persons, yeah, qualified personnel. And they're looking at 110.16. So that's also true. That's kind of the basics of marking. Let's see what it says, 110.16. Electrical equipment such as switchboards, panel boards, meter sockets, other than dwelling units, to warn qualified people. Yeah, qualified people. This is a wait, this is not what I thought it was. An RV campground has 150 campsites with electrical power. 25 of the campsites are reserved as tent sites. How many of the sites are required to have a 20 amp, 125 volt receptacle provided? So if they're tent sites, oh my gosh, I did not mean to do that. I meant to highlight it. You're going to subtract the 25 from the 150. And you're going to be left with 125. So if we look here, at least one 20 amp receptacle. So every RV site, stop that. Every RV site would be equipped with electrical supply. The way they word that is kind of crazy too, because they're trying to trick you to thinking that they're not RV sites. They're reserved as tent sites, but they're still technically RV sites. So what this trick question is trying to ask you is, we know that every RV site is going to have at least one. So they're hoping that you subtract 25 from 150, which is what we did, or at least I did. I don't like this question. I would contest this question because the way that they worded it makes it seem like they should have said, you know, a camp has reserved 150 of, out of the 150 RV sites, one camp is going to use tents at the location. Regardless, if it's an RV, it's going to have a plug. That's just another way they trick you. Let's not click on that and try to highlight. We can't highlight, so that's kind of irritating. I thought we had to push the next button. I didn't know that we could. I thought we had to push down here. Where central vacuum assemblies is installed in a storage closet adjacent to a laundry room of a dwelling, accessible non-current carrying metal parts of the assembly shall be bonded. But let's look at it. Non-current carrying metal parts is the basics of bonding. It's the basics of grounding. The word's not going to be grounded. The word's going to be bonded, because you're going to attach something that doesn't have a value to give it a value, and that would be called bonding. If this speaker, if I want to make this speaker the same value as this computer screen, we need to attach it together in a reliable way. It's called bonding. If this speaker is plugged into the wall, it's grounded. If this is plugged into the wall, it's also grounded because it goes back to the source and it's got a value. But if we want to make them the same, you want to bond it. So in this case, they want the non-current carrying metal parts that can carry current. Just because they're non-current carrying means that they're not normally current carrying. So you could say that this mic stand is non-current carrying because typically there's not supposed to be any current on here. But if this was permanently installed and it was part of something that had voltage attached to it in some way, whether it had a receptacle attached to it or something, you would need to bond the case of this mic stand to the source. So the answer is going to be bonded. Let's see if we can find it. We can look at central vacuum assembly. The laundry room thing is just to trick you. The dwelling's going to let you know it's in a house, so it's not going to be an industrial vacuum. And then the non-current carrying is going to be kind of your hint. And I have a feeling we're going to find it in 250 in grounding and bonding, which is probably my favorite article of the whole code book. I think it's the most important one, actually. Electricity is pretty forgiving, but if you don't ground and bond properly, it's going to jack your stuff up. Let's look at vacuums here. We're going to go to V. We'll look at vacuums. Vehicles, vaults, VSC, valve, vapors, ventilation. It's not going to be in here. Here's the deal, right? This is a master's test. So if you don't know the keyword non-current carrying by now, you're just not going to find it. But we're going to look in 250 and see if we can stumble across vacuums just for fun. If we look at the very beginning of the requirements of Article 250, it's going to say here, the words likely to become energized and all the stuff. It's going to have all the ground rules. Ha, ground rules, get it? Electrically conductive materials that are likely to become energized shall be connected together to the system grounded equipment in a manner that creates a low impedance path for ground fault current that is capable of carrying the maximum fault current likely to be imposed upon it. What they're doing there, where you're equipped in a manner that creates a low impedance path, that would be bonding. So we're just going to say bonded and see where they come up with so I can go to the next question. 250.4A3, let's see. 250.4. 250.234A3. That's B. A. 4. Yeah, see, we're not in the 14, so it's not. We already know the answer is bonded. Let's just see. Connected to the equipment ground conductor. Okay, well that's also pretty obvious too. Same thing. Out of your options, if you had bonded, which would be a bonding screw, or you had, well, I don't know what other choices you had because we don't have the practice test, but this would be bonding it. If you attach it to an equipment grounding conductor, you're essentially bonding it. The circuit supply auto transformer dimmer type installed in theaters shall not exceed blank between conductors. That's probably going to be volts. We can go back to theaters. I feel like we spend a lot of time in theaters. And I'm going to skip the question, but I'm going to say probably 300 volts. This is just my guess. We're just going to click it. 150. Perfect. The hot tub installed outdoors. What's the maximum distance? 15 to 20 amp. 125 volt receptacle is permitted to be located from the hot tub. This is a good one. We're going to go to 680, which is pools. If you don't know that it's pools or hot tubs or whatever, you can look in your index, but we're going to go here to 680. There. And we're looking for hot tubs. There's natural, artificially made bodies of water. We're looking for permanent, storable pools that have different things. Swimming pools, fountains, or similar installations. They should have a hot tub part in here somewhere. Looks like there's a spa there. Spas and hot tubs. That's going to be, there is some requirements for some spacing there, but we're looking for receptacles. So we're going to look for receptacles. Here we go. Receptacles, all receptacles 50 amps or less, located within 20 feet. What does it say here? It's outdoors, maximum distance of a 125 volt, 120 amp, 125 volt receptacle. So 250 is more than 125. 50 amps is more than 15 or 20. So therefore, this is your answer here. It's going to be 20 feet. All right, there. Let's see. 20 feet. There you go. Is there a website you're using as a study guide? It's called tests.com. And it's actually really powerful. Like, some of these questions are actually really good. I'm actually enjoying some of them. They're really tricky, like the code needs to be. Here's another one here. Ceiling suspended luminaires, lighting fixtures, or paddle fans located blank above the maximum water level of indoor installed spa or hot tub shall not require GSER protection. Off the top of my head, I think that it's 12 feet, but we're going to look. So let's look at ceiling suspended paddle fans. and the water level. I know that there's a water level part to this code. I'm just going to scroll through real quick. Here we go here. If we look at receptacles, so here is, this is overhead cables, pools, that's receptacles. This is going to be indoor clearances. Is it outdoor or indoors? Indoors. Indoors, right there. Happy 4th. Are you familiar with this website? And if so, how close is it to the real test? It's pretty close. This is going to get you able to navigate the NEC very quickly. You got to be a nerd like me to thoroughly enjoy this, right? I'm pretty much at the top of my game when it comes to the code. There's almost nothing that I can't find. We're looking at a 14 test in a 23 book. I'm just trying to help you guys out. Having the discipline to sit here and just endure through this crap is, I remember when I first started, it was pretty rough. But I'm in the code book a couple of hours a week. At least 30 minutes every day. So, probably less than that. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes every day. Probably out of, 20 different inspections, I might be in there 2 or 3 times. And most of the time it's just to teach other people why. But teaching people why makes you better at the code. So if you want to get good at something, try to teach somebody. Here's your indoor clearances. Okay. Here's 6 foot 7 inches. Let's see what it says. Installations, indoor pool areas, same outdoor areas unless modified. Paragraph, the branch circuit supplying the equipment is protected by ground fault. The following equipment shall be permitted at a height not less than 7 foot 6 inches. Ceilings, funnel fins, and then you got existing installations, which if it's existing installation, you get a little bit closer. But it looks like if the branch circuit supplying the equipment is protected by GFCI, the following equipment shall be permitted at a height not less than 7 foot 6. Okay, but it doesn't have a GFCI. Now what? Luminaire ceiling fans installed in the area extending 10 feet horizontally from the inside of the wall shall have GFCI protection. Five feet. Oh my goodness. 5 feet and 10 feet horizontally from, is it horizontal or up? Maximum water level. So that's going to be up. Is it 10 feet? Let's keep looking. Let's keep looking. There's measurements, switching. No. Is it 10 feet? Luminaires, outlets, and ceiling fans installed in an area extending between 5 feet and 10 feet horizontally from the inside wall of the pool shall have GFCI protection. So if you're more than 5 feet, it should be 5 feet horizontally and 10 feet vertically, I thought. Is there another website you can use to teach how to navigate through the code book, or just dive into it? Just asking. I'm a second year and wanting to start getting into it. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good website. There's people on YouTube that just do the code things too. I'm going to start probably posting some questions and, encourage you guys to dig in. But really just doing something like this and just testing yourself. But the most important thing you can do is have not really the answers so you can cheat, but know where to find this stuff to confirm that you found it. So if I click on this, indoor. Man, I feel like the answer is freaking 8 feet. But then I saw 10 feet. And then I saw 5 feet. But it's 5 and 10 feet horizontally from the inside walls of the pool shall have GFCI. So if you're more than 10, then you don't need GFCI. That's what that means. But then it says, unless installed not less than 5 feet above the maximum water level and rigidly attached. Maybe it's 5 feet. Maybe it's 5 feet. We're going to go with 5 feet because the code book says it. But I don't think it's 5 feet. But it says 5 feet in here. We're just going to go for it. 5 feet. It's 12 feet, what I said before you even freaking started this. 680.43b. Where is it? 680.43b. See, psyched myself out. Because that's what I would call if I was in the field and I saw something. You know, we always call 12 feet. Let's see what happened. Here's an elevation. 5 feet there. 7'6". Is there, okay, I already read that. 7'6". There it is there. No GFCI protection is provided. The mounting height shall not be less than 12 feet. (6'7" with GFCI. That's good to know. Oh, you don't want me to become a Sparky? That's asking for trouble. Yeah, maybe. All right, we're gonna do one more. Let's do something. Let's do something hard. This is. I already know what the answer is. This is, but how to find it? Right. You're gonna go to 680 for pools, and we're gonna be looking at luminaires. So let's look for luminaires. 680. And we want to find the beginning of the book. There it is there. We're just going to kind of skim through here for luminaires. Now, I already know in at least a 20 code, it's located right here on a certain page. So I can find stuff in my 20 like stupid fast. And even the 14, I know where the stuff is located. But this is the 23. So it's more of a realistic experience for you guys trying to navigate this thing because I've moved all of my codes around. But we got receptacles here. More receptacles. There's permanently installed pools. Luminaires there. There's the wall lighting. Let's go over here to the forming shell because that's what this is. It's a wet niche. So there's wet niche there. So we are very close. We know the wet niche right there. And our answer is actually right here. So what it says here, it's going to be number 8. But what it's going to say, shall include provisions for terminating a number 8 AWG copper conductor. So if you've got a PVC, right, if you had red brass, which is conductive, you're not required to do this. But because you've got PVC, and they called it rigid polyvinyl chloride, that way you'd think it was rigid in metal. So they do this purposely, right? This is just PVC. And it encloses the conductors, which should be the cord that comes off of that light assembly. There's going to be a lug inside of your light. You need to run a number 8. And it's got to be insulated there. See? Insulated. And you're going to run it on a lug inside of that light with the cord. And the requirement for that, you've actually got to put a listed potting compound over the lug once you're inside the light. So let's see if we can find that. There's the non-metallic conduit there, right? And it's going to go on to continue to say, shall be covered or encapsulated with a listed potting compound to protect the connection from the possible deteriorating effects of the pool water. So like I said before, the code is going to be right about here. And I'm glad to see that they didn't move it too far away from where I knew it was. Marvin the Martian taught you that? That's cool. Let's see what else we got. Well, let me go back. Number 8. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's see if we can find a good question here. Cover plates. That might be a good one. Essential electrical system in a hospital. Probably red would be my guess, but it's probably identified by, let's look it up. Receptacles or cover plates. So we're going to be going to hospitals, which is, damn, what is hospitals? 570, right? Healthcare. Healthcare is 570, I believe. I think it's 570. It is not. It's not 470. We jumped from 555 to 590. It's something 70. What is healthcare? It's, no, I'll just find it this way. There it is. 517. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So we're looking for marking, identification, receptacles, and we're looking for essential electrical system. Here's some receptacles, attachment plugs. Let's go back to the beginning of 517. The very beginning. Receptacle requirements. Sorry, just jumped there. Receptacle requirements. But that's going to be for patient beds, see? So we're in A, B, 1, 2. So these receptacle requirements are going to be for the patient beds. You see how that works? So you can't just jump and grab the code wherever you want to. How does the code book called? NEC. National Electric Code. So you can't just grab, wherever you want out of the code. You got to find where it's talking about. So when it says essential electrical system, of course they're not going to call that the critical or the life safety. They're just going to call it essential, and then let me freaking figure it out. So let's see if we can find maybe they got to be identified by hospital grade, but it says the cover plates. So the cover plates got to be identified by, oh, maybe they want you to put the panel name where the circuit's fed from. Receptacle requirements there. Identified. Listed. Nope. Okay, I think that's all the time we got. Let's find it though. What is it? Distinctive color or marking. There you go. We got to get out of here, guys. Hope it helps you guys out. We'll see you guys later.